Good morning. This is our regularly scheduled County Commissioner meeting. At this time, if you could all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment? Can I get a verification of the posting of the agenda, please?
Pam Moore, for the record, the agenda was posted on October 31st between the hours of 5 and 6 at all of the locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you, Pam. Can I get a motion to approve that agenda as submitted?
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll second it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to 6, consideration and possible action, approval of the minutes of the meeting held on October 3rd, 2024.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of the meeting held on October 3rd, 2024.
I'll second it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to our first appointment, 7A, consideration and possible action, approval of funding to implement Zoom software to replace JAVS as a method of recording the record in the Justice Court at a cost of $21,086 for necessary equipment, and then an annual software license of $768.90. Ben?
Good morning, Board. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Ms. Pam Moore, for getting me on early. Thursday's a really busy morning in my court every week. I'm Ben Trotter, the Justice of the Peace here in Churchill County. On this item, where we've been looking at, JAVS has been in the court for quite some time. It costs about $10,000 every year just for a maintenance contract with them. And it's somewhat reliable. We've had reliability issues with it. And they're not local, so when they have to come out to fix something, it's from Carson City. Usually takes a day or two. So we have to mitigate things ourselves. So for a period of time, I've been looking at Zoom. There's some software programs such as Zoom that allow for a lot of potential for budget savings. At this time, we have to pay a transcriber to listen to our record. We have to ship them the record. If a case is going to the district court or needs to have a transcript made, I've seen the cost of those. It would have to average about $400 or $500 each. I've seen them up to $800 every time we have to transcribe a court process. And Zoom actually offers a feature that could potentially save that. It's a transcription feature. We would need to certainly review it in-house and make sure that certain Latin words that get said in court sometimes don't get mistranscribed and such. So it could offer some assistance there. Also offers text on screen, which could be in different languages, could potentially save interpreter costs. And the annual fee for the software would be $700 and something versus $10,000. And the reason I'm asking at this time, I know this wasn't budgeted for, is because our JAVS contract is a December 1st contract. So we have to re-up that for 12 months, December 1st, which doesn't line up with our fiscal year. So I was attempting to potentially avoid renewing the JAVS contract and then putting this in for a budget item and then essentially having paid JAVS for a full year and only using them for 6 months. So that's why I put in for this. The total cost, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, are $21,000 for equipment and install and training for us. We bought the JAVS equipment. We will be using as much of that, microphones. If the cameras will function with the Zoom program, we will use that. All the amplifiers and things like that, processors, we own, so this budget is based on intending to use those. And we purchased those about 5 years ago. So that is what I'm requesting as consideration for doing that. I understand it was not part of my budget. Certainly will require some sort of augment at the end of the year to be able to cover the costs. And I understand the county is in a budget, trying to be very fiscally conservative at this point. In the end, I believe this is a very fiscally conservative project, but I wanted to propose it now before we get into our budget season and see if we could get this done without paying JAVs again. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to approve funding to install and fully implement Zoom to replace the current JAVs as the method for recording the court and justice court.
I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to 7B, consideration of possible action, standby pay for justice court clerks on weekends. Back to you.
Okay, thank you. Once again, Ben Trotter, Justice of the Peace here in Fallon. The court's looking at going to a 4-10 schedule, and there's several reasons for that. First of all, when I first came in 2019, we moved to 8 to 4, staying open during lunch because I thought the lunch hour was an opportunity for people to use the court, to access the court. When we were closed during everybody's standard lunch hour, I thought we lost an opportunity of, an hour of opportunity for people to access the court. We're also, by looking at a 7-10 schedule, it'd be 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 7:30 to 5:30. This would offer people an opportunity to use the court before and after work. This does cut away a Friday, which would affect our trials, but also having the 10-hour day, we can put a trial in on a Monday afternoon where right now we don't generally schedule trials. We could schedule them for 2 o'clock, be able to run to 5. As any of the attorneys can attest, when a trial gets going, I usually don't leave till it's done. And so if it ran a little long, that's what happens sometimes. We would, of course, try to set trials that were not the long trials for that period, since there's 3 hours to do it. And the idea behind this, first of all, is access to the court. And second of all, it makes the position more desirable. 410s, people generally prefer to 5/8s. But what this does do is we have the weekend hearing requirements. And so right now, the ladies, and I would be happy to handle after-hours restraining orders and things that I'm not allowed to because it is ex parte for me to talk to one side without the other side being present. So the clerks have to handle these things. And so if we have a restraining order that comes in after hours or on the weekends, the clerks are required to handle that. And then we have the mandatory hearings that the legislature handed down on us that happen on the weekends. And we attempt very much to make these efficient for the DA, the public defender, us, court services. We attempt to make it a one day a weekend thing. Doesn't always work that way. But the fact is, our clerks have to be available. One clerk each weekend has to be available to create the cases so that the criminal complaints can have a case on them. There's probably more that goes into it than I actually understand because I'm not a clerk. But they definitely are required to be involved in the process. And so in this proposal, I'm asking for standby for the clerks for 3 days for the weekends. And it is $1.75 an hour. Currently, I don't know where the number came from. I wasn't involved in that decision, but when this first came down, the clerks get 17 hours one day and 16 another, not sure why, and that's on a Saturday and Sunday. I'm asking for 24 hours for the 3 days to give, so that I can essentially tell a clerk, you're in town this weekend. And they already go through a rotation on that. And the cost increase over what we currently do on standby is about $3,549 a year additional time. So it's approximately double what we currently do for standby pay. And then the ladies also get called back if they actually have court. On the weekends, they don't. They just get the standby. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about this.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I had a question. Would there be any potential for splitting the staff where you had some staff that are working 410s Monday through Thursday and some staff that are doing 410s that would be the Friday, Tuesday? That way you were able to not have standby on that Friday and be open? I mean, assuming it's Friday that you would be closed. And then that would have, you would actually in that scenario maintain greater open hours for the public and still meet your 410 requirement and then not have to impact standby pay.
And I did look at that. My concern is if you have one out sick and one on maternity leave, now you end up having to cover things either with overtime or you end up with one clerk.
But I would think that the sick and other health issues are the minority of time, not the majority of
Sure.
time.
Sure, sometimes.
Because
So-
we do have some hearings and stuff that happen on Friday, so then we don't?
Well, generally Friday's left open for trials. And so we're losing a day for trials. But it's not, I mean.
So would the staff get overtime on those?
Well, we wouldn't have trials on Friday if we were not open on Friday. And so it would simply it'd just be a closed day. So yes, I have looked at that. We have 5 clerks, including the chief clerk. If anybody's missing, then when you split them, if you're on one of those days where it's not fully staffed, then you're really skeleton. That's my concern with it. I drew it up and bounced it off the clerks, and they had the same concerns. And we've had a substantial amount of turnover over certainly the 6 years I've been in. Not desired turnover by any stretch.
Sure.
In fact, I have another clerk right now that I believe because of family issues, and she has small children, and her family from Minden helps her so much. I believe she's moving to Minden, and I'm about to lose another really good employee. And so there's things that aren't necessarily in our control. Yes, I have looked at that. It could potentially work, but I don't know that it works on certain days. It would certainly be problematic.
Yeah, there's no doubt that nothing's going to catch all one direction or the other. That's why I say with a split where at least you had one clerk or 2 clerks that are overset. I just know in some of the other departments we've done that split, and that seemed to kind of offset. And I mean, there's stuff that you'll never, you don't know when people are going to get sick. You don't know when they're going to have, and you just can't control those things. But on the baseline and on the majority of the time, then it would be greater customer service, would be, I would think, less. Just a thought.
Any other questions or comments from board or staff? Any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to approve standby pay for Justice Court Clerk on weekends.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
7C, second reading, consideration and possible action, regulating local tariff number 50 related to service charges for CC Communications.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Jim Stillwell. I'm a senior revenue analyst for CC Communications. Today, I'm presenting the second public reading of the proposed tariff changes to the CC Communications local regulated tariff number 50 and recommending approval as proposed. There are 4 proposed service charge labor rate changes to the local tariff number 50. The construction installation rate and the PBX service rate are $130 per hour. The engineering inspection rate is $150 per hour, and the combo tech rate is $130 per hour. These proposed rates are adjusted for inflation and are applicable to the business and residential services offered by CC Communications, and for contract or repair work furnished for others by CC Communications. These are the requested tariff changes at this time. Any questions?
Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to approve regulated local tariff number 50 changes as proposed.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
7D, consideration of possible action, approval of revised job titles as part of the pay tables for fiscal year 2024-2025. Chris Spross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of the board. Chris Spross, Assistant County Manager and HR Director for Churchill County. So this item is to approve putting a job title back on our job title list as part of the 2024-2025 pay tables. Up until 2021, the county manager's office had a position of an executive assistant, which helped the county manager with administrative tasks and administrative assistant. When, in 2021, when the administrative services manager position was created, the executive position was taken off of the pay tables. This was removed on subsequent submissions since then and was not on the one that has currently been approved. As the current administrative services manager is retiring, I would like to put that job title of executive assistant back onto the pay tables. That creates greater flexibility for the county manager's office to recruit to fill that position. The executive assistant is a grade 55. Step 1 is at $28.52. And the administrative services manager position at a step 1. Sorry, I don't have the dollar value, but it is a step 62. So there's a 7-step difference from step 1 to step 1. The current administrative administrative services manager is at a higher step than step 1. So this would be a cost savings if the county manager decides to go with that position. So we just want to put that back onto the pay tables job title page. Pay rates, everything like that all remains the same. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions or comments for Chris?
Chris, on here it says fiscal impact none, but you'll say that there will be a cost savings.
The reason I said there will be a cost savings, even if the county manager's offices decides to fill an administrative services manager position, that position would start at a step 1. So the fiscal impact, I usually use that only if there's going to be an increase. That's why I specifically said that there would be a savings. So regardless of how the position is hired, executive assistant, step 1 or step 2, and then administrative services manager, step 1 or step 2, there will be a cost savings to the county, both in wages and benefits.
And just, this is Jim Barbie for the record, and just for clarity, we will be pursuing an executive assistant, not an administrative management, it's an ASO, administrative service manager at the county. It was an officer at the state. So we will pursue the executive assistant, the lower grade, and then some of those duties will be split that were involved in that position between Chris and myself, and then additionally future grant positions around the SNPLMA funding that's coming. I would just note as a practice so that you're aware, moving forward as these positions are utilized or not utilized, they continue to be listed in our job classification, which is a really good thing, but over time they've been removed if they're not being utilized from the pay side of things. We're going to, moving forward, keep them on the pay side so that we don't have to come then approve the whole pay period. I'm not sure why that practice was created, but moving forward, we're going to adjust that practice and keep them on the pay, even if it's a position that's not being utilized somewhere in the county, just so it's basically more tools in the toolbox for the commissioners to make a decision on. Thank you.
Any other questions from board or staff? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to approve the revised job titles as part of the approved pay tables for fiscal year 24-25.
I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
7E, consideration and possible action, approval of the interlocal agreement between Churchill County and Lyon County for detention services for Lyon County juveniles, effective retroactively to July 1st, 2024, in the amount of $593,108.20 for the period of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, and in an equal amount to 40% of the total Churchill County Juvenile Probation Office detention budget for each fiscal year thereafter. Lalo?
Motolalo Twafi for the Juvenile Probation Department. This is a contract that we do have with Lyon County, and it is something that we are asking to continue to work with Lyon County. It was brought to our attention, or at least to my attention, that the previous contract that we had was actually signed back in 2015. So we actually looked at it. Since then, we have new chiefs in both counties, new commissioners in both counties, so it was something that we wanted to make sure that both sides would be able to look at, make sure we're still in agreement with each other as far as the contract and as far as how we work together. I've spoken with Lyon County chief, and he's very happy with what we have going. The commissioners are very happy with what we have going here, and so we are asking that we continue to work with Lyon County and to renew this contract. I've asked District Attorney Jeff Wheat to look at the contract, make sure there was nothing there that we needed to majorly change or to look at, but I asked him to go over it so that we can make sure that when we do go forward with it, everything is in place. If there's any questions.
Any questions or comments from board or staff?
Jeff, is this a contract that's going to renew every year automatically, or do you have to come back every year?
It'll renew automatically, and that was part of the problem with the old one. Was there was a 1 year option to extend, and that was taken, but then there was nothing after. And so this one will renew automatically, and as you'll see, just in the name of the agenda item, there's a price that was essentially negotiated previously that we've been operating on for this fiscal year. This is effective retroactively to July of this year, and then it'll up based on 40% of the total detention budget for JPO, and so it will automatically renew unless notice is given.
And is there built-in like inflation into that, or the increased budget costs?
It'll be based on the budget costs. And there's a true-up at the end of each year, depending on what the actual costs were. So they would kind of be the projected based on the final budget. They will be billed accordingly on a quarterly basis. At the end of the year, if they've overpaid or whatever it may be, there could be some true-up there. But so it'll inflate naturally with the detention budget.
And so we've had, Sherry's done a great job working with Lyon County and making sure that we do make sure it's trued up at the end of the year, so.
Okay, any other questions? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to approve the interlocal agreement between Churchill County and Lyon County for detention services for Lyon County juveniles, effective retroactively to July 1st, 2024, in the amount of $593,108.20 for the period of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, and the amount equal to 40% of the total for Churchill County Juvenile Probation Office's detention budget for each fiscal year thereafter.
I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Justin, did you want to pull any of the letters received? Okay, we'll move on to new business. 9A, consideration and possible action, appointment of Neil Olson as a designee to conduct annual meetings and election of supervisors for the Lahontan and Stillwater Conservation District. Pam?
Pam Moore for the record. Pursuant to NRS 548, the Churchill County Clerk is required to conduct this annual meeting and election of supervisors. Traditionally, Churchill County has always appointed a designee. This year, we're asking to have Neil Olson appointed. He has served on the Lahontan Conservation District Board, has experience with the elections, and has expressed his willingness to serve, so we would like to appoint him, if you would, please.
Okay, any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to appoint Neil Olson as Churchill County's designee to conduct the annual meeting and election of supervisors for the Lahontan and Stillwater Conservation Districts, and direct that the results be provided to the clerk treasurer as outlined in NRS 548.285.
I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. New business 9B, consideration and possible action, ratification of the purchase of mobile bleachers from American Grandstands for the Rafter 3C Arena in the amount of $50,000 divided between the county, city, and school district to support the state wrestling tournament and other future events. Jim?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize, Jim Barbie for the record, I apologize for bringing this to you retroactively, but we had the opportunity that we were afraid we were going to lose if we didn't act on it. We purchased two sets of bleachers that are run by electric hydraulic that basically sit on a custom-built trailer, and the bleachers themselves actually fold up and are roughly 8 feet wide and probably about 30 feet long and less than 14 foot tall, but not by much. They're pretty tall when they're folded up. And they'll seat 160 folks, and they actually have numbered seating, side rails, and a center safety rail with a walkway. But what you're able to do is move those into any scenario, and then that gives us that, right over 300 additional seating. We have several events at the Rafter 3C that these are going to be utilized at, including the state wrestling tournament, the New Year's Eve Bull Bash. It'll probably be utilized during the Bull Sell and the Bellamy Brothers concert, and that's just for the 3C. Today, they're actually being set up at the high school and will be utilized for overflow seating for the championship game between, I think, Elko and us later tomorrow night. And then this weekend, they're being utilized for some kind of baseball thing the mayor was telling me about. So both the school district and the city were on board. That's a split of $16,666.67 each. Those brand new cost around $75,000 a piece. And so again, we've got two of them for $50,000, and they're in excellent working shape. We did not have to do any maintenance or fixes or anything on them. They worked as they brought them over and delivered them. So we jumped ahead of the process and made that purchase. We apologize for doing that. I hate to do that but when we felt this is a deal we didn't want to lose the opportunity on. So beg for punishment, or beg for forgiveness, but hope you'll go ahead and approve this for us.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
And are they going to be stored at the 3C?
Correct. They'll actually be inventoried with the county and stored at the 3C, and then we'll basically manage them. So if we get a request from the school district, we'll put them and set them in place. And then that also puts them on as part of our maintenance costs. We'll endure the maintenance costs using our centralized fleet management program.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move to ratify the purchase of mobile bleachers from American Grandstands in the amount of $50,000, split between the county, city, and school district.
I'll second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Motion for the consent items, please.
I move to approve the consent items.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Anything anyone has that they want to consider for a future agenda item? Okay, we'll move to Commissioner and Management Staff reports. Do you have anything to add, Justin?
Just later tonight, I'll be attending that election with the Lahontan Conservation and Stillwater District. But I also have that thing today, so there'll be some kind of overlap there. Thanks. That's all I got.
I had a library board meeting last week, and then I'll be going to, and everyone's invited to go to Justin, Buzz, and Julie's retirement party this afternoon. Sherry?
We were just working on the audit. So far, we haven't had any findings, so that's wonderful, and it should be done shortly. Thank you.
Joe?
Nothing to add.
Jim?
Do have a few things today. Just want to draw folks' attention to last week, we had the Department of Interior, Secretary of Interior sign off on the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act funds that we will get through a cooperative agreement with BLM. Again, the timeline on that, we're working on. The first part of that process will be us signing a cooperative agreement. They've put a tentative schedule together of an April signature on that cooperative agreement, which is just a process thing, which basically outlines how we will receive the money, how we will use, it'd be like a grant assurance document. We're going to engage pretty significantly back in DC to try to get that date moved forward. We want to get those funds here in the county sooner than later, and we want to be able to go to plan and design. Our target would be January of 25. The reason is because we have several things that we want to accomplish early on that affect events and activities that are happening at the 3C this summer. We are evaluating some of the impacts of confirmation of this money coming through that we've been hoping for. There are some projects that have been funded through the county that we may pull back on and may make some adjustment requests that we'll bring to you in the next couple of weeks to basically help us prepare to have a multi-level construction there at the 3C and there at the North Main ballparks. Again, as a reminder, that's $32 million into the 3C complex, and that's $10 million into the North Main city ballpark and county girls softball fields, which will be completely redone. So really good news there. Additionally, the Farm Bureau Conference is starting today and going on through tomorrow and I believe part of Saturday at the Rafter 3C. Next couple of weeks, Cattlemen's Convention and the Governor's Conference on Agriculture will also be hosted at the Rafter 3C, so mark that on your calendar. And yes, reminding folks that at 3 o'clock today at the Dodge House, we will do a retirement celebration for Justin and Buzz and Julie. And the Dodge House was actually remodeled and completed during COVID, so we never actually had a public opening for the remodel and the process we did there. So we thought that was a perfect venue to actually hold the event, and then folks from the public can come take a look at how that restoration of the historic Carl Dodge House turned out. So thank you.
Linda, you've been busy.
Not at all.
One more thing. I'm sorry. This is on my list and I screwed it up. I wanted to draw attention to the clerk and treasurer's office. If you've watched the news over the last couple of days and you see the time it takes for some counties to bring their results in and have faith in them and the accuracy in them, I just want to say praise to the clerk and treasurer's office on the tremendous job that they've done. We are not one of those counties that is holding up the process or slowing down the process. They do a tremendous job. They really focus on it, and they make our community proud of the election process that we have here in Churchill, and that's a very important thing, and I wanted to make sure that was on the record. So hat tip to you guys.
Thank you. So, as I do appreciate that. That is just amazing. We do, we go above and beyond to do what we do. In elections, there's a lot of work. And our general election went off with a hitch, with, no issues, no nothing. But I will tell you right now, first and foremost, I have support from our staff in my office. They work long hours. They go above and beyond. It's noticed when we have observers at the polls. My poll workers, I could not do this without them, and we have had great poll workers. County staff, and she keeps us on social media for, all our election updates and try to keep the public noticed, because a lot of people are on social media. Facilities, they transport my vehicle, my equipment, so that we can get everything set up. Sheriff's Department, City PD, Tribal Police, from visiting the polling places, making sure that we're okay, because we put everybody on alert. Not that we expected, but we never know what happens or could happen. And we didn't have any incidences, which was good. However, City PD and Tribal Police escorted my girls with the results back to the county building, because that's, what we like to do, so that there is, somebody supporting that. And then city staff at the convention center, I will tell you right now, they went above and beyond. We switched things around because we heard comment from voters occasionally that would come and speak to you saying that, we were left out in the cold, and it's not my facility, I can't put eaves on a facility. However, we moved everybody into the main area for check-in and voting, and that whole lobby area we put and set up so that everybody could come in out of the, weather, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, rain, snow, and so it really, really worked out. And so I set the plan up with the gal at the convention center, and when we walked in there on Monday, they had everything set up for us. All we had to do is just put the equipment and get everything, set up on top of that. And it was amazing. Everybody that we deal with during elections, it's just above and beyond, so I am thankful for that, so. Results as of last night, we have got a 75.21. This will move because I think we're up to like 76%. Mail ballots are still coming in. We're a military town, so we do have a lot of ease ballots that we're still processing and email ballots that we get from the military. So we'll be scanning more ballots today. I don't know what the number is. It's just whatever we get prepared. There's a lot of work behind all that, but it's a moving target with the mail ballots. So I know that our percentage will go up. I don't know if we'll hit 80%. Early voting had a really good turnout. We had 6,290 voters show up for early voting. As you know, anybody that works in this building, they saw the lines it was steady, and it was a very good turnout. Mail ballots are, like I said, they're always a good turnout because people like to use mail ballots. And then Election Day was about 2,199 people voted there. Not as much as I wanted. I target for I wanted 90% turnout because the highest turnout we've had is 86% for a presidential year in the past. But either way, I'm just happy we had very good turnout. And any questions?
I don't think so. Thank you for everything your office does.
Thank you.
Pam?
Nothing.
Crystal? Okay. Claims and payroll are going around. At this time, is there any last final public comment? Go ahead and come up. It'll be the red, you'll have to use the microphone just so we can get you on the record. It'll be the little red button at the bottom of the microphone.
Hello, everybody, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of new to this. I apologize. I'm really nervous. I've never been to one of these. I did want to bring something to. I heard that this is the place to come bring it attention. First off, I'm sorry. My name is Edward Flores. Anyway, I heard this is the place to bring something of this nature to. So I wanted to say there's some dangerous areas, crosswalks, and areas in the town, especially Tedford and Allen. Drivers in this town, I mean, it is a everyday thing. It's getting worse. I almost get hit by cars on the daily, and I'm speaking for any pedestrian or biker or a bicyclist. I don't know what can be done, but there's red light runnings, people not using the traffic signals, and even near wrecks every day, especially on those corners. The other day I had to play Frogger, and I almost got hit by 4 different vehicles while on an active crosswalk. And I get scared, you know what I mean? I try to pay attention as best I can, but even sometimes near misses, near hits, and I see it for other folks. In my fear, you know what, man, I've been hit by a vehicle, I know what happens a few times. Not here, though, different places. But my fear is a child or an older lady. I see people, disabled people having to use their, whatever, whether it be a cane or, that's my fear, and then having to go try to figure out how to help them if such a situation ever happens, And that's what I wanted to bring to this to this meeting. And I apologize for my nervousness, but I don't know. I hope there's something can be done. You know, maybe more attention be brought to that. I mean, the driving here, in fact, this town's only like 3 miles long, man. There is no hurry. You'll only be a second later. Literally a second. This ain't Phoenix. You know, thanks.
Okay, thank you for your public comment. As with that, or any more public comment? I know all of you. We stand adjourned. Thank you.